Peppers, my sweet, sweet Peppers. Oh, it feels so good to hear your voice again, because we back. Nah, I'm completely kidding. But it does feel good to hear Peppers again, as of course the Miami Heat get back into the win column after beating the... Whoa. Hey, we don't want to get copyrighted in here. We got to shut that song off real quick. Hopefully, we hear it a lot more this season. But the Miami Heat did get a win tonight versus the Brooklyn Nets, 110-95, in which they had a much better, a much more inspiring performance, particularly in that fourth quarter where they really put the Brooklyn Nets away. And that's exactly what you wanted to see against this team, because the Nets team is no good. So we'll kind of give a rundown of the game here, but I'm feeling good today because the Heat TCB took care of business, and that's really all you could ask for at this point, because the last 3 games, that 3-game losing streak was nothing short of demoralizing. Although the Orlando Magic also just beat the Boston Celtics, who were up a lot also. So I don't know if that makes Heat fans feel any better about the loss to the Magic. Likely not, and it shouldn't. I know the Celtics didn't have Jason Tatum, but the Heat didn't have Jimmy Butler, and the Heat were also up 22 in the fourth quarter. How the hell they lost that game, I don't know. But I can't let myself get worked up about that, because we got a win to talk about tonight as the Miami Heat do go 1 game above 500. So we did get some bad news during the game for sure. We'll get into that. Hope everything with Drew Smith is okay first and foremost. But before the game, some not so great news either, where Jimmy Butler was questionable with his illness. If y'all remember, it was versus OKC, where kind of Lou Dort like kicked Jimmy's ankle, and Jimmy like twisted a little bit. But then Jimmy was listed out for the rest of the game with an illness, which I thought was weird, but I didn't think anything of it at the time. But then he missed the next game with an illness, and then he missed today's game with an illness. I don't know what kind of illness has you out for over 3 games. Usually when these guys miss time, it's a little stomach bug, a 24-hour thing, or like a cold, in which you have some rough symptoms the first couple of days, and then you're okay after that. But it's just the timing with all this trade Jimmy news, and now he's out with an illness. It's a bit peculiar. I'll at least admit that. Although there was the report that came out today that said the Heat are likely not trading Jimmy Butler. I know that's not exactly news, because that's kind of what we've all known for a while. Unless they get an offer that blows them away, they're not trading Jimmy Butler. Like, we all knew that. But a lot of times when you hear that report, it's the Miami Heat trying to play hardball to get teams to raise up their bargains. So who knows? The whole NBA reporting game is stupid. It's just a bunch of guys with agendas trying to force a narrative. But anyways, you had no Jimmy Butler today, so hopefully they do have him back for the next game. But you also got the unfortunate news that Terry Rozier was out today with some foot discomfort. Is that unfortunate? The way he's been playing? I don't know. I'm not going to say I missed him out there. But of course, we don't want anyone to get hurt, obviously. So we do hope everything with Terry is okay. And I will admit, versus the Magic, he actually did shoot a lot better. So hopefully he can really get right. Maybe his struggles this year were due to injury. We know he missed some time early on, and we've heard that he was never really 100%. So it might just be best for him to really take some time and get 100% healed before he's back out there. Although they will need some more guard help now, because Drew Smith did get injured today. But I want to go chronologically here before we get into that. But we did have an interesting starting lineup change today, in which Eric Spoelstra inserted Haywood Highsmith back into the starting lineup as the 4. And then he also put in our guy, Jaquez Jr., a guy that I really want to see get his act together, because he's been terrible. Now, my whole thing with him is, hey, when given the opportunity last year, he was great. And then this year, when you had Jimmy, Jaime wasn't getting a lot of consistent minutes. Sometimes he'd play 20 minutes, sometimes he'd play 10. And I feel like for a guy of his skill set, a guy who needs the ball in his hands, it's hard. It's hard to really get your offensive rhythm going when you have that inconsistency. Now, you didn't have Jimmy the last 2 games, and Jaime was still terrible, but I was hopeful now that he was back in the starting lineup where he really thrived at points last year. I was hoping we'd see a better Jaime Jaquez, and we did today. Obviously, the numbers won't jump out at the stat sheet at you. He only had 9 points and 5 rebounds, but he was 3 for 4, hit his first 3 of the game, and he really looked a lot more comfortable out there after just throwing the ball away all over the place these last few games. But hopefully he can continue to build off what he did tonight, just from a confidence confidence standpoint. He's not going to be a guy that's going to score 20 points a night like we saw him do for long stretches last season. But hopefully, even when he does go back to the bench, because I'm assuming we'll get Jimmy back next game. I'm hoping we'll see what happens there. But I'm hoping he can just continue to get his confidence up, because when he was shooting, when a guy's shooting as bad from three as Jaime Jaquez has been, they proved 4 tonight where he was shot 1 and 2 from behind the arc. He was like 3 for his last 28. Sometimes you just need to see one go in. And we saw one go in for him tonight. So I'll look forward to see if he can build off of that. But it wasn't just Jaime who got going early. It was really the entire Heat team and the Nets for that matter. Both teams kind of let the strap out in the first quarter with regards to shooting the ball. It was a hot first quarter both ways. The Heat actually dropped 39 points in that opening quarter, and that's after dropping 40 last game. So they really come out these last few games with a hot start. But then in that second quarter, it's where the Heat started to really separate themselves. You had Khalil Ware check in, and once again, just be an absolute energizer out there. He's been so good in his minutes that it makes me mad he wasn't playing earlier. What was Spoelstra doing? Well, we'll never know. But I hate always talking about that and questioning Spo on that, because at the end of the day, Spo sees these guys in practice. He's not stupid. Like, he knows the Heat need size. If he's not playing Ware, I guess I'm willing to give him benefit of the doubt, although it has been frustrating just because what they have been doing hasn't been working. So I don't know why Ware wasn't playing any earlier. Sometimes Spo likes to trust guys to a fault, in which he'll leave them in there for too long if they're not playing well, like he kind of did with Kevin Love. But I know Kevin Love's been going through a lot of personal stuff this year too. That's why he's sort of been in and out of the rotation these last few days. But Khalil Ware came in, had a block right away, had a three-pointer in the corner where he left his wrist up. The form was beautiful. You gotta guard that big man out there. I guess the Brooklyn Nets didn't know that because they were letting him shoot, and he played really well today. Khalil Ware on the night finished with 9 points and 7 boards in his 17 minutes, adding 2 steals and a block as well. Shot 4-6, so he's very efficient. And then even in that fourth quarter, had a lot of really great moments as well. It was really like a relief valve for the Heat. You saw in that fourth quarter, he was getting a couple of dunks, off of Tyler penetrations and lobs to Ware, just to get sort of easy plays in the fourth quarter, especially. It's so critical when you look at what happened last game versus the Magic. You couldn't get easy buckets. But when you got a guy like Ware, all you need is a little bit of dribble penetration. Just throw it up to him, and he will come down and get it. Because he's 7 feet tall, he's massive and can jump through the roof. It's really not that complicated, and he's certainly solidifying himself as a rotation player going forward. But although things were looking great in the second quarter, that is when we got that pretty horrific Drew Smith injury. Right away, you could see on his face when he went down that he knew it was not good. Of course, this is tragic for many reasons. One, by all intents and purposes, he seems like just an amazing person. So you don't wish this on anyone, but especially a really nice and hardworking guy like Drew Smith, who just came back from an ACL tear either last year or the year before. So he just worked his way back, really changed his whole opinion of himself and Heat fans everywhere, right? He was a guy that we hated. Now he's a guy that we love. Not only a guy that we love, but a guy that really seemed like you needed him to be out there. I mean, these past few games when he wasn't in the lineup, the Heat really struggled, especially defensively. So he's a guy that obviously has had a big jump there, a big jump in the offensive game. And he's been a great player for the Heat. And on top of all of that, he was on the cusp of likely signing a standard deal. Of course, when the Heat traded Thomas Bryant, that opened up enough salary cap room and another roster spot for a guy that we all expected to go to Drew Smith. I don't know what the hell was taking the Heat so long to give Drew Smith the standard. He's been playing 30 minutes a night. He's been your leading minute getter off the bench. They should have signed him to that standard right away. They didn't, and now you look what happens. Drew Smith gets hurt in what looked like a scary injury. Now, if you didn't see the play, he essentially, I think, caught the ball or was trying to go back on defense or something. But basically, he took a step backwards, and his knee kind of like bent the wrong way for like a second. It looked like one of those little hyperextensions. It was a non-contact thing. Now, I am a doctor. I went to 12 years of law school, so you could trust my opinion on this. Worst case scenario, this is bad. It's a typical non-contact knee injury. Best case scenario, I'm hoping it's one of those 6 to 8 weeks hyperextensions, and we'll see him back here, I guess, around February. That's my best case scenario prediction. Although, in all seriousness, of course, I'm not a doctor, but I hate all these people on Twitter that are thinking they are, and they're these fear mongers saying, "Oh, what are we gonna do without Drew Smith now?" Just can you be patient for a minute? Can we give it a day to get some more news on Drew Smith before we all start freaking out? Although there was an Ira tweet later on in the game that did scare me. He said it's not a knee injury for Drew Smith, but still not good. His season looks like it's in balance. And then he said a update will be provided at a further time. So I have no idea what the hell that means. Let me check Twitter real quick here to see if there's any sort of update on that. I don't see anything yet. So that's definitely something we're going to have to monitor over these next couple hours here and going into tomorrow to see if everything's okay with him. But yeah, I'm saying best case scenario, he's out maybe 6 to 8 weeks, or maybe it was just a little strain. Maybe he's back next game. All right, let's be hopeful, guys. But seriously, no one deserves it more than Drew Smith. He's worked his ass off. Clearly, this Heat team needs him. And let's just say he can't come back. The front office has some decision making to do, because they still got to fill that open roster spot by December 29th, I believe. Obviously, a guy like Isaiah Stevens is who we were looking to get that two-way spot. So do you cut Drew Smith if he's out long term and sign Stevens? And do you sign a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. to the standard roster? He was just on the OGs pod with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslam saying he'd love to be in Miami. I think he could provide a similar role that Drew Smith was doing. And of course, I like Dennis Smith Jr. He's only 27. He's a dog, can shoot a little bit, athletic. I think he'd be great here, but I don't want to start speculating about that last spot until we officially know what happened to Drew Smith. I will say, though, I'm not sure if he can rehab with the team unless he's under contract. So that might be something that he'd have to take into account. But anyways, the Heat will go up for as much as 14 in that fourth quarter. The lead would get cut to only 1 at halftime, though. But in that third and fourth quarter, the Heat would play very, very well, particularly in that fourth quarter, as we were talking about earlier. Tyler Herro really got the offense going. I feel like his dribble penetration was incredible and was just setting up easy looks from everywhere, whether it was the corner threes, the wing threes, Khalil Ware for the lobs, which is what we mentioned earlier. And then it was Nikola Jovic who hit a three in the corner to hit the Peppers button. And that was pretty much all she wrote. And that was off another great action from Tyler. Drove into the paint, kicked it out to Burks, swung it to the corner for Nikola Jovic. And that was all that she wrote. So I love to see actual basketball being played in the fourth quarter as opposed to the Magic game. I hope we can see that more often, because it's games like tonight that do make me feel a lot better about your two other building blocks outside of Jimmy Butler, because both Bam and Herro had pretty nice games. Bam himself had 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He was 8 of 12 from the field, got to the free throw line 8 times. We love that. Had 2 clutch and ones in the fourth quarter to really push the Nets comeback attempt out of the way, I guess. Although Bam did airball the free throw on one of those. How the hell does that happen? I don't know. I've played a lot of basketball in my life, a lot of organized ball, a lot of men's leagues. I've never airballed a free throw my entire life. I don't get it. But I'm also not being asked to guard every single player on the court like Bam Adebayo is. So I'll cut him some slack tonight. But he was big in that fourth quarter. Hit a few middies. What else do we got in the starting lineup here? Tyler Herro, 17 points. Did not shoot well. He has not been shooting well as of late. But the sign of a great player is a guy who can do other things. And that's what Tyler Herro did tonight, as he fell 1 assist short of a triple-double, where he had 12 boards and 9 assists on the night and really controlled the game in that fourth quarter. Love what I've been seeing from Tyler Herro, and I will say this every video until the All-Star voting is over. Go vote for Tyler Herro. All-Star voting is open now. Haywood Highsmith, again, has not really shown out of late, but he'll always play defense. That's what he's looked for. Nothing of significance there. And then, of course, we got to shout out Duncan Robinson, who got off to a very hot start early. Shot 5 of 10 from 3, had 17 points. He played very well tonight, as did Nikola Jovic off the bench. This guy is starting to consistently string together these pretty decent games. And today he had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. We saw him push pace after getting a rebound a few times. Shot 4 or 5 from 3 today. Excuse me. I'm getting excited talking about Nikola Jovic. He had another 3 earlier in the game where he hit it, but I guess it was like a shot clock violation. It came off his fingertips just a bit early. but he's shooting with confidence. I don't see a lot of hesitation in his game. When he's getting the ball, he's either attacking or shooting it, and then we love that confidence. Outside of him, you got 17 minutes from Khalil Ware. We talked about how awesome he was. And then you had, I guess, most of your bench minutes was split up between Pelle Larsson and Alec Burks. Pelle's been struggling to find the shot a little bit. Y'all know I always say he's a guy that is good at a little bit of everything. And tonight he had 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. So he literally did a little bit of everything. But obviously he's a rookie. He'll continue to go through the motions. And then Alec Burks, a guy that I think deserves a rotation spot. I mean, he's played well whenever he's played. That was also the case tonight. 12 points and 3 boards for him, 3 of 6 from 3. So you love to see that performance from the Heat tonight. Outside of that, that's really all I got to say. This was a very inspiring performance. You just got to continue to build off of these games. The next game is on Thursday at 7 p.m. First, the Orlando Magic. It is time to get your get back. I want the Miami Heat to blow that shit out. As my guy Royal A. Shepard on The Basement would say. Go into Orlando and kick they ass, bro. They can't mess with you. You the Miami Heat. You all-star Tyler Hero. You headband hero. Headband bam. Kamehameha Hawkins Jr. Go out there and bust their ass on Thursday. Make me feel better about that pitiful loss last game. Anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. I got to find ways to keep myself hyped because this is a long-ass season. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But I'll have fun watching. I'll continue watching every single game and come to y'all with post games after that. So make sure y'all subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm on the grind to hit 6K subs. So all your likes and comments are greatly appreciated as well. That being said, I'll see you on the next video. So peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.